Here we are. Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome again to Coach's Corner. We're gonna let our coaches come in here and get all settled in here a little bit. All right. All right, welcome everybody. Video review night. We've got Valentine, our guests, Valentine and Logan should be joining us. Should be coming on here real quick too. Right on. Welcome, gentlemen. Video review usually with Sir Helga. Sir Helga is off tonight. She's traveling about. We had a couple of scheduling issues that kind of had to push this episode off. We're gonna get a little bit better about some of that scheduling for the next couple of episodes that are coming up. So in place of a Sir Helga, we have asked a Sir Helgi to join us instead. So Helgi's down to Kaid. We've also asked His Grace Timmer from here in Artemisia to join us, as he has some experience working with some of the weapon systems that we're going to be working with these fine gentlemen. So tonight's episode, we have a couple of folks that have been generous enough to allow us to pick apart the fights. We got Baron Logan Pathwarden from the West Kingdom, and we got Lord Valentine from Valentine's Day. From Kaid. Both of them have somewhat recent video. Valentine had Crown Tourney this weekend in Kaid, so we got some of those fights. And Logan was at a fighting clinic I did a couple of weeks ago. Got some stuff for that to kind of pick those things apart. So I'm going to start with Helgi and Timmer. Helgi, would you mind giving yourself a brief introduction?
Hi, I'm Helgi. I am a knight out of Southern California, Kaid, the Kingdom of Kaid. I run a drill practice here, and I love doing video review.
Right on. Timmer?
Hi, Timmer from Artemisia. Had the opportunity to serve the kingdom a couple times, and I was part of Sean's beta test group. So,
yeah, back in my early days as a trainer, when I was trying to figure out what the hell I was doing, there was a lot of trial and error at Timmer's expense.
Yes, it's one of the happy seven. But hey, we made it.
Right on. And so our guest tonight, who've been kind enough to provide videos for us to go over, Logan, would you be kind enough to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I am Logan. I'm out here in the West now, but I'm really from all over the place. I am a man-at-arms to Duke Mark, to Arundel out here in the West, and I've been fighting for a little while, but just in the last couple of years, trying to get serious about it. I had a few long breaks due to military service, but and then the pandemic hit. So now I'm trying to get back in and really up my game.
Right
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, happy to have you. Valentine?
Yes, my name is Valentine Martin here in the SCA. I'm from Kaid too, fairly close to Helgi. I'm currently squired to Vasilius. He's a knight down here, two sticker. So I've been working with him quite a bit. and I've been playing for about 3 years, 3.5 years. And it's kind of a duck to water thing for me. And in the last year, I really kind of did a hard push to really get myself into both the training and mindset of wanting to do this. So started out a little bit of fencing, but that was short-lived until I found this. So.
Well, and I would like to throw out a special shout out to Valentine there. He's the one that did the Book of Fighters recently published. It's you know, that I gotta say that the drawings that you had on that were just spectacular, and you know, I think you've encapsulated a lot of various different styles, and try to it's fairly comprehensive writing. So really great work. Thanks for putting that out.
Of course, and it is free online. So if anybody wants it, it's available. If you guys want to use it for any sort of promotional or communing, you know, being able to get people into the sport, I'm all about it. So.
Okay, so just a couple of ground rules so that people understand, who are watching, understand what's going on and how we do this. So we are doing this video review for Unbelted Fighters. Part of the reason that we choose Unbelted Fighters to do this is because the problems that they are going to have are going to be applicable to a wider audience. And so the people that are watching, you're likely going to find something in here that is applicable to your fighting as well. So that's part of why we do that. You're going to notice that we tend to focus on isolating deficiencies, which means we're going to be looking at the things in their fight that we consider to be deficient, things that are problems. We're not going to be praising them a lot for the good stuff that they're doing. There's a limit to which you can get better at the things you're already good at. But being able to fix your deficiencies is going to give you a much greater benefit in your overall fight, because it's a lot easier to, you know, we learn more from our failures than we do our successes. So that's kind of how we approach this. And it is important for people to understand as we're doing this that we have not had these guys come on just so we can tell them what terrible fighters they are. You know, none of us is as good as we want to be. And you know, we're all trying to get better. And our intent here is to give these guys a good path forward to becoming better fighters. And above all else, we appreciate the fact that they've had the courage to come on here and ask us to do this. They're exposing themselves to the world, and you know, it takes a lot of courage to do that. And we hope you guys take this in the interest in which it is intended, and that is to do what we can to make you better fighters. So, Thorfinn, is there anything else I missed on intro there? You want to cover something?
No, I thought you nailed it pretty well. I thought we kind of roll into the first video.
All right, let's do that. Let's do this. Let's see.
Who are we starting with tonight?
Looks like the first one I picked up is Logan.
Okay.
And which one?
I'm gonna share it here in just a second. You'll see it here on the screen as soon as it refreshes here. Always with the technical difficulties.
That's the charm of this show.
That's right. A bunch of IT guys trying to figure out how to work a computer.
Right. There we go.
And just a second here. All right, so this is Logan. Last week, he's fighting Brian of Glastonbury from West Kingdom. So, all right.
There we go.
There you go. I think there's one more. I think this is one where we did a set of 3 for precisely this reason.
Right.
It looks like it might be a little bit choppy on the playback there. Ooh, out of frame. All right, I'm gonna slow this down a little bit. It seems that when we do a slower speed on the playback, it gives us better playback on the broadcast here. We're gonna go back to this one where Logan gets hit because that's always fun, right?
Right.
That's the whole point here, right? Yeah, it is a little bit looking like it's a little bit coming through a little bit choppy. All right, we're gonna go ahead and look at the other one. We got a second one that we're gonna put up for us.
Hey, while you're pulling that one up, Sean, Logan, I got a question for you. With your spear or glaive, do you have a butt spike on the other half, or is it just a butt cap to make sure your end doesn't slip off?
Just a butt cap.
Okay, that's cool. No, I just want to get an idea of the total tools that you're using.
Roger.
And how it's about what, 6 feet long?
Just under. I'm 5'4", and it's just almost 6 feet.
Okay.
Okay, in this set here, you're finding an aura and you're using the greatsword.
Yes.
I'll slow this down to half speed too. And for those folks watching, we're using YouTube video. There is a list of hotkey shortcut commands that you can use to do change the speed, do frame by frame, that sort of stuff. Let's get back to the fighting. There you go.
Yeah, that was a little armor check right there.
And it is still super choppy.
That's okay. You get the basic ideas.
So you fight, Logan. You fight left-handed with or left-hand lead on your glaive, but with your sword, you're fighting right-hand lead. What are the reasons, or what are the different targets you're trying to exploit by changing that?
So with the glaive, you didn't get to really see it in that other video, but I will swap back and forth, just because I find that, like you said, it opens up different targets. And if someone is expecting me to fight, in one style, switching it up on them sometimes confuses and leaves them open.
Well, and Helgi, I'll answer that too, because I do the same thing. I fight when I do glaive or spear, I fight left hand back. And when I fight greatsword, I'm fighting with right hand lead. Partially because I'm I'm left-handed, although I fight right-handed primarily. I'm right eye dominant, so that changes my targeting, but I shoot pull left-handed back. So that's kind of how I end up. That's why I fight glaive the way that I do. Whereas greatsword is, it's more natural for me to fight with that right hand lead. Just like I do sword and board.
Well, you said that it was a left hand back,
Yeah.
which is the same as the right hand lead.
on the spear and on spear and the glaive. Yeah, I fight. So I think I'm fighting mine the same way Logan's fighting his.
Yeah, I think so.
You do, Sean. You're explaining it backwards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I understood you because, well, I've seen that. But yeah, you do fight the same way that Logan does, but you're just explaining it backwards because, it's what you do. Logan, I'm curious here. What's your plan? You have your opponent legged. What's your plan? How are you planning on entering and finishing the fight to get a positive outcome? What's going through the mind?
So here with the great sword, I'm looking to get a hip shot. I mean, as you can see, I'm a fairly short fighter. Either a hip shot or sneak past and get him with a back edge shot.
That's what you ended up doing.
Yep.
There you go. All right. Well, Helgi, let's go ahead and start with you. What are you seeing there? I'm gonna go ahead and stop the share there, and we'll see what we get.
Actually, if you could give me just a moment, I actually missed the killing blow on the video. If somebody else wants to go.
All right, go ahead, Timmer. You want to go?
All right. So a couple things I was watching, and I'd watched these videos before earlier in the day, so a little bit less choppy. You're first with the pole arm thing. When you're working with the pole arm thing, when you're working with the pole arm weapon, I think there was one pass of the 3 that you got legged. Is that correct?
I don't think you got legged on any of those.
Okay,
No, I did get like, I got a headshot and a clavicle chest shot.
Clavicle chest shot. All right, and both those were coming off of what would be your left hand side, correct?
Correct.
All right. So once again, I really do, because I can't do this, so I have to applaud you for being able to switch both sides on that. That's really cool. Usually when I fight a opponent that has a stronger side, left or right, I'll try to put my defenses on that side, because historically speaking, what people do with a pole weapon is they'll try to rush in, close the gap, and then try to wrap you. And I noticed that with the shots that the way that you're presenting yourself, with your pole on your right hand side, your left hand side was getting a little bit more exposed. And then the way that your tip was coming out towards your opponent, it was also, so one out of the 4 quadrants is, when I say quadrants, I mean the 4 sections of the body. One of the 4 quadrants is always going to be open. But the way that you're holding your pole out, it actually left half your body open towards an attack. So it had your arm, clavicle, the head, because the way that pole was. Another thing I was noticing too when I watched the video earlier today, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like you were going in and straight out, in and straight out. It wasn't until you got the boundary lines that you started J-hooking. How much J-hooking, how much changing your angle of your body during the retreat have you had opportunity to work on yet?
So yeah, that was at that workshop. That was the one thing that everybody there, told me, like, you need to start turning faster. So and His Grace Thorfinn was at the last practice that I was at. That's the biggest thing that I'm working on is my J hooks and my passes. I need to get much better on forward passes.
Another thing too, and I've seen this fairly effective, is when you're actually doing the J hook, doing the maneuvering backwards, because your opponent's coming at you, and you can actually, at that point, you can interpret their gait and the speed that they're rushing at you at, and you can throw something that I've seen in the past work. And disclaimer: 101 ways to fight. My way is not the only way. Just take what you can. Hopefully, it'll work. Is that when you're doing that retreat, when you're moving backwards, find a way to pop open something to open up their sides, because when they're coming at you is when they're going to be most vulnerable, because at that point, most fighters are beyond or move out of their defense. Because when you're here, when you're standing still, what regardless of weapon style is, you're in your defense. That's when you're in your cone. Is when you start moving, your body starts moving out of position. Your leg moves past your shield, things like that. A quick pop to the head to feint, and then a snap down, because I saw you do it with the last person you were fighting. It was really pretty, by the way. But doing something like that and continue to make them move their quadrant, because not only are they moving, but at that point, now they're moving at someone who is actively changing their angle. Because if I'm coming straight at you and if you're going straight back, you haven't changed your position. However, once you start moving, then I have to adjust for you, and then you can start popping and throwing feints out that's going to cause my shield to move. So now my body's out of position. You're forcing my shield out of position. The fight, even though I'm coming at you as the aggressor, I'm giving you more opportunities because it's your turn to actually take that opportunity, gate the fight, gate how quickly your opponent's pressing you, and use that to exploit it. Does that make sense?
Well,
it's okay to say no to you're high.
Yeah, I think a lot of that's applicable to the longsword as well, the way you're using it.
Yeah,
Right.
actually, that's the other thing too. Anyway.
All right, Thorfinn, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. So I'll start off with looking at the spear. What it looks like you're starting off with, and sorry if I'm doing a little bit of repeat here. I was distracted by something for a minute. You're starting off with a thrust and then into a cut type motion almost every time. It's like this is your opening procedure. Is that you want to come in, threaten with that thrust, which is a very valid thing. You want to keep your opponent believing that your thrust is real, right? But then if it doesn't hit them, then you, like Timur said, you roll kind of straight backwards. And if you were to even step into your opponent, right, and using their shield as your shield, remember that thing stops both directions, right? So you could do that thrust, come up, now you're reset and you're blocking that side, right? As you use their shield, whichever side it is, roll to that edge. Allowing you then, once you're clear, to step back, reset, okay? Or go straight into attack, whichever is your opportunity right there. And I think that's something you can do with adding some footwork to your thing here, figuring out balls of your feet, how to go from that thrust into that onside block, okay? And one of the things that Brian was doing was he was doing with kind of like sticky shield, sticky sword. Once he was getting onto your weapon, you didn't break away from it. Okay, so you didn't free your weapon, which is your only defense, right? Mm-hmm. So if you don't free that weapon, suddenly he has full control of the fight. As long as he's touching you, you can't do anything, right? Right. And so he's controlling your weapon that way. And that's how he was getting that offside head on you too. Because he's coming in, he's got the weapon touched, right? So he knows where it's at, and he can then fire right down the edge of the blade. And so that's kind of, excuse me, the shaft. It's kind of what he was doing there. I think you could work on that transition between the thrust to defense or thrust to cut. And other than that, I mean, I thought your footwork looked pretty good on the kind of, power generation part. So you looked good how you were doing your explosive thrust there. So those are good things. And it's just that I think we could add in like a little bit of movement and not just side to side, but maybe, like I said, even forward through them, using them as your defense. Okay. I think that was, there you go. That's what I was going to say.
Thank you.
All right, Helgi.
So first I want to ask what you consider your stylistic inspirations. Like, who has taught you, who do you like watching and emulating?
Sorry, that's my cat.
Mine was screaming earlier, so
she's very vocal. So Duke Mark is my knight, and I watch, as much of his videos, Backyard Basics, as I possibly can. It's mostly dealing with longsword, but I find that a lot of those things can also be done with my little pole, just because it's a shorter form of pole weapon. So I try to adapt a lot of stuff like that too. The rest of it is just things that I've learned over the years. And like I said, only the past couple of years have I been able to really start pushing into it. And been studying a lot of the fish books, the fighting manuals and stuff like that, and trying to emulate those things. It's one of the reasons why I don't have a butt spike on the end of my pole, because that wasn't really a thing that they did. You know, they still use the end of it, but just not for like thrusting or anything like that.
Yeah,
So-
that's an SDism.
So
Honestly, I think it's kind of cool that you're not, because that's why I asked. Like, is it part of your style? No. Cool. Continue on.
you also remind me of Sir Anthony or Antony Anton. With the glaive, because he fights the left hand lead as well, right? So the big thing in those two fights that I saw was one in the first fight against Brian. He was pressing you, or he was moving forward very rapidly, and while you were backing up, you were off balance a lot. I think that that's one of the things that you either had in trying to make your J hooks and J steps and pass throughs. You were putting yourself in a position where you were trying to get shots to skip off of you, or otherwise evade, right? But the problem is that when we're off balance, we put ourselves in a worse position for the next shot, right? And so we want to keep, it's really, really hard to do, right? Obviously, you can't be in balance the entire time, but but we need to understand what is happening when we are catching ourselves off balance, and what are other ways that we can do to address some of those. I agree with what I think it was Thorfinn was saying, where you want to control coming in, not just moving backwards, but coming in. And especially when people are being hyper aggressive with that movement forward, finding the timing on it to step into range, so that you're not putting as much risk out there of crossing into their through a danger zone, right? But you're letting them do that for you, right? Where they are taking the big step in, where they are putting themselves possibly off balance. And once you can start catching them with that, that will then allow you to, where the step in, stepping into your opponent will be less risky, and at the same time give you some opportunities. I'm a big fan of Duke Tom out of North Shield. If you haven't had a chance to watch any of his videos, he is a fantastic great weapon fighter as well. And he prefers to fight inside, but he creates that mismatch by having his thrusts, having the stuff he does at range, and then transitioning into a movement that comes inside. He fights with right hand lead on it, and there's some defensive disadvantages for left hand lead against a right-handed fighter. But the other thing that I was seeing was your thrusting and your guard is staying pretty wide on your glaive, right? This gives you a lot of leverage, but it takes away some of the speed. And so being able to go from a thrust into bringing your hands as close together as you had them in your with your greatsword will make it, you will get the speed that you can get with your greatsword with a glaive, right? Yeah.
There you go. All right. So yeah, Logan, some of the stuff that I'm seeing, we mentioned, the passing through, like how so I am a big proponent of evading forward, right? Because when you're evading a blow, I mean, obviously best way not to get hit by something is to just don't be there when it lands, right? But typically when we think about that, most people think about it in terms of just running away and going backwards, right? The conventional wisdom for attacking somebody with a greatsword or long weapon, any long weapon, is, as Timmer mentioned earlier, you take a shot at their sword, you jump their shit and throw a fuck ton of raps, right? That's the conventional wisdom. And most long weapon fighters are used to the idea of somebody wanting to get on top of them and jump through, right? So you already mentioned that you got to work on that evading forward and taking that pass through going forward as somebody's coming in, especially if they're coming in super aggressive. That is a really good opportunity for you to pass through on either side on a 45 and allow them to expend all that energy going to a place that they want to be, where suddenly you're not there anymore.
Yeah.
Right. The caution there, of course, is you don't want to just step up into their sword side or whatever, and you don't want to camp out there. You definitely want to use it as a pass to pass through and to reset the fight and to reestablish your positioning. So evading forward is not an all-time, every-time solution, but it is a solution, and it's counterintuitive. It's one that people don't think about a lot because I mean, fight or flight instinct, right? You just want to get away from the threat as much as you can. But if you can pass through that, I think you're going to find you're accounting for the blows that are coming in at you, and at the same time putting yourself in a better position to have access to targets. Does that make sense? And otherwise, the thing that Thorfinn was mentioned earlier is, when we do the kind of the sticky hands with the blade, right? When I'm fighting against long weapons, I don't follow that conventional wisdom of running after them and chasing them down, right? Because that's a lot of work for me. So I'm gonna put my sword out on your blade, and I'm gonna make contact with your blade. I'm not trying to leverage you. I'm not trying to maneuver your weapon, because with my sword out, I don't have the leverage to do that. You've got both of your hands to be able to maneuver my weapon, right? I'm just trying to cut down the lane. I'm just trying to keep you from having a straight shot at a thrust. And at the same time, I'm going to invite you to throw that thrust. So, because when you do, I can use my sword when it's in contact with your weapon. I can use my sword to deflect one way or the other, and I can take one step and I'm all over you, right? I don't have to chase you down. And that's that sticky hands thing that Thorfinn was talking about. And that's what Brian's doing. That's the same way I do it. I'm going to walk you down. I'm not going to chase you. I'm not going to run after you, because, as Timmer mentioned, when I start running after you, that presents opportunities for you. Yeah. Right. And that's something that Anton is particularly good at. Like, oh, come and chase me down so I can get the timing. And when the one foot goes forward, I just cut that off. Right? Cut that leg right off. Right. So I'm not going to run after you. I'm not going to chase you. I'm going to take one step and be on top of you. So, as Thorfinn was mentioning, you have to make sure that you're not allowing me to keep that sticky hands on you. You're not allowing me to just freely control the lanes. So if I put my stick out and I make contact with your weapon, you've got to pull that off. You've got to keep me from, or even take a shot at it. Right? If I'm putting my hand out there and put my sword out there, making contact, take a shot. Knock the weapon away, just as a jab, if nothing else. Does it make sense?
It does.
So, all right. So let's quickly, Thorfinn. Let's go to the top three. So for Timmer and Helgi, these are the we tend, as you guys know, we tend to throw information at these people like they're drinking from a fire hose. So exactly. Let's distill this down into like the top three things that you see that Logan can work on. So Thorfinn, let's start with you.
I'd say that transition we talked about between the thrust and the attack, right? When and how to use it, the timing on it, right? And remember, staying on the balls of your feet at all times, which is going to allow you to, when you decide to do that quick step in, right? Now you can step right in if you're on the balls of your feet. So as those heels hit the ground, you can't move, right? So remember, it's like almost like a bullfight at that moment. You can literally get that guy coming in, hauling ass at you. You step in and go off to one side. They're stuck going forward. right? Now they've got to stop all their momentum, switch, and you have time then to transition to another attack or reset your range, whatever you need to do, right? So you take that opportunity at that moment to assess where you're at in the fight. Okay. The other thing is what Sean was talking about with that striking if someone's trying to do that sticky thing like I did Wednesday night right when I fought you. Once they start doing that, if you strike the sword, it literally freezes their muscles. They can't move the damn sword. They have to refire their muscles again, right? We're talking a very short amount of time, but it is frozen and allows you then to pivot into an attack or pivot into safety. So don't be afraid when they start doing that to just strike their damn weapon, right? Or their shield too. This is the same thing you can do with the shield. You can strike the shield, freezing their shield. It's like doing a shield press with your glaive, okay? That and watch videos by apparently Duke Tom, and I would also throw in Brand. Look up some of Brand's video. He was the world champion glaive fighter, so I would say he's got some good moves. That's my advice.
Yeah,
thank you very much, Logan. Thank you very much for putting it out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to echo the thoughts on Duke Tom. Not only is he a great glaive fighter, Tom's actually one of the best trainers of that weapon that I've seen. Viscount Cullen out in the East Kingdom is Cullen's also another great glaive fighter. There's lots of guys out there. Maynard, who is currently or just recently King of Ethelmark, Edward the Red up in Eldemir, Anton, Brand, and of course, I mean, Mark ain't so bad at himself with non-shield weapons. He does all right for himself. So you've got some good guidance there. But I think even Mark would echo our thoughts on, seek these guys out. These are some really good glaive fighters to keep an eye on. So see, Helgi, final three for you.
Just to continue his thought, just expose yourself to more, right? You're going to find people will have techniques that may work for you, may not, but you need to experiment with them, and you're not going to find them until you go out and look. And the across the world, there is a diversity of styles with great weapons. Highly recommend you exploring that. The top three things were things that were your balance, especially when you are getting pressed and trying to duck and evade shots. You don't look comfortable inside at all, and you need to develop that. If you are constantly afraid of taking a step in, it's going to be really, really hard to do that when you're stressed, right? And stepping in also gains you some advantages. The thing that Duke Tom does against me, and it annoys the crap out of me all the time, is he has his distance stuff that I have to cross, right? I can't get in. But then he wants to, once I start crossing the range where I can hit him, he wants to move in and then use his elbows, the cuff of his gauntlet, the haft of his glaive as a point of contact of that sticky hands, but in reverse, right? You're going to keep control of your opponent's shield with your elbow and the cuff of your gauntlet. You're going to, you can pin, get a weapon pin. That'll tie things up. But these are only things that you can do at close range, right? And hopefully some of those ideas will give you some tools to make you feel more comfortable there. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the stuff that I've got for you.
Yeah. It sounds like you should definitely be doing the stuff that Helga referred to as annoying the shit out of people. That's like right? You should probably do more of that, right?
I love that technique.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Do stuff that people hate. Do more of that. All right, Timmer.
All right, so the three that I came up with pretty much run into each other. Range and creating space. There's a little bit difference between the two, but they work hand in hand, especially if you're closing the gap. Then eventually when you need to move out, that's creating space. You're going to want to control your range. part of controlling range, which is the second thing. We talked about this, sounds like other people have talked about it. J hook, do not run straight back. Move to the side, move to the short side. Doesn't mean run all the way back and take a left step. It means just create space, create space, doing a J hook, change where you are in position to your opponent. And while you're doing all that, throw in some fakes, throw in some feints, and they have to be viable feints. It's not just a tap, tap on your shield. Oh, I'm here. It's a, okay, I'm going to attempt to rip your head off. Have a nice day. Oh, you blocked that. I'm going to do it again. Oh, look, you've lifted your shield. And now because you've taken a step, I now have access to your left leg. Thank you very much. So those would be the three things I would work on. Range and creating space, moving backwards to the J hook, and then work on your fakes. Add that into your repertoire of fighting.
Thank you.
Right on. All right, Logan, before we move on, do you have any questions about anything that we've talked about?
No, not really. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to help me out.
Right on. And as always, we're always available if something comes up, and if you think of something later that just didn't make sense, and it sounds like this is pretty consistent with the information that you've been getting and some of the your own observations. So yeah, the stuff you've been working on in practice, yeah, just this hopefully this give you just maybe a better framework of why what you're working on is the things that you should be working on. So right on. Good deal. Good fights, man. Good fights indeed.
Thank you very much.
All right. So Valentine, you ready?
Yes, sir.
We haven't scared you off just yet with our with our abusing poor Logan there.
By no means.
All right. So you have some fights for us from Crown Tourney this past weekend. Pretty handy. Your main fighting system is sword and looks like Dane axe with a thrusting tip on the bottom point, right?
Correct.
So very, very similar to Madu type systems. Madu or inverted greatsword, or the one that Timber uses is a spear, 4-foot spear that has points on both ends. So that's what we're looking at there. So let's roll the tape here. So let's see. Hopefully it's not too choppy.
It was going good earlier. I hope it continues that.
Yeah.
I like your helmet, by the way.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, that's not too bad. And this one you're fighting Sir Sigvalder, right?
That is correct.
Yeah. Sigvalder from he's from up in Starkhaven. So.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Aggressive.
I gotta say, even when I gotta slow this one down because it's honestly I can't tell. I know when you threw the shot, but I just can't tell how it hit. So I've changed this.
A thrust here, right?
No, it was I believe it was a flat snap.
Okay, yeah. If there was enough of a bounce that I couldn't tell what the actual blow was. Okay.
Yeah, it's a tough angle.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. So I slowed this down to quarter speed. I think this is where you end up hitting this. Oh yeah. There you go. Is that right? Is that where it hit?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it looks like as he came in. So he's coming in, throwing flat snap, and you managed to catch it.
And then throwing a wrap.
No, he ends up throwing a flat snap.
Was it?
Yeah. So Sigvald's got his hand out there.
Right there, and then it turns Yeah,
Yep.
it does go flip. Yeah, it goes.
That's just, yep, that's textbook flat snap.
Nice.
Yep. Well, what it was, I had to look at it really, really, and so that's one of the things I understand for folks that are watching at home. This is what we have to do to understand what really happened. Is you watch it full speed, and a lot of times you can't keep track of what's actually happening because things happen so fast. This is a really, really fast sport. So we're gonna, we'll slow it down to quarter speed or half speed. And then if we need to, we can do this frame by frame stuff. YouTube is really good about being able to do this now, where we can slow it down to quarter speed, and then you can use the arrow keys to do frame by frame. That's what we're doing here to really get an understanding of what's happening. And as we're looking at the fights, there's like the frame by frame gives us detail, but the quarter speed and the half speed also give us context, because there are times when we're watching what's going on in the fight, and the frame by frame doesn't tell the whole story. And so you kind of got to do this mix of slow speed and frame by frame to really understand what's happening. And this is a good example of that, where when I was watching it full speed earlier, I was like, okay, I see that it goes down, but I can't tell, like, you just really can't tell what happened. So being able to break this down, being able to see that shot kind of come in, and it looked like as Sigvalder was throwing his shot, looks like he may have rotated his shield out a little bit too much, and that allowed that opportunity for Valentine to throw a flat snap.
He got that shield offline, and then that's why definitely he opened up as he turns right there.
Yep.
He's throwing, and then it allows that straight snap. Otherwise, honestly, a left-handed fighter shouldn't be hit by that straight snap.
Yeah,
so
right.
That was so you can see how far over the shield is right here.
Yep.
Well done.
All right, nice and done. Yeah, let's see.
What's one that where he lost? Okay, this is good.
I think you lost this one here with Sven, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And I will say I have a particularly, it's been a struggle, especially recently. It was lefties, exactly like Sven. They shut down that bottom point of the axe so well that I'm learning to cope with it. So.
Oh, we'll address that. Don't worry.
Yeah, good.
Also, I don't know any lefties like Sven. I mean,
No.
so
Yeah.
Sven's
So what you're saying is you have a problem with 3 out of the 4 people that you fought in this list?
Yes.
fair enough.
Yeah, I
So
tend to
we're running
overblock with Sven.
Yeah. So we're running this full speed right here for now. So. Well, there you go.
Yeah, what happened with your axe there?
So I was reading I guess the onside for him with the axe, and as he rolls it over, his timing is just so weird. I then see it change over, and I just could not get it back in time, and he managed to just get me right in that eye slot there.
Yeah, every blow he throws is at a different speed, and
There's a reason he's called Sloth Sven.
No kidding, right? I mean, it's scary, but it's very effective, but it is also deceptive.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, Lateral does that as well.
Yeah.
Lateral out in the West, it's and Fleeg used to do that too. It's like they start into a shot and you block it 3 times before it actually gets to you.
Yep.
Yeah, they're like classic junk pitchers from baseball, where every pitch comes at a different speed, right? So you can't set yourself to believe anything is going to be standard.
Right.
Yeah, it's a great timing thing too. So.
Well, and I have to say too, you got the block on this first one that he throws out here. You got the block on that. This was a good leg shot for you to throw.
Yeah, I was thinking about that inside leg the entire time. So
looks like you may have hit that flat.
Yep.
Yeah, he picked that up with the shield.
Oh yeah. So the combination of picking it up on the shield, it was good shot to throw. You didn't get it rolled over. You got a little bit of shield on it. Ends up being flat. But also, this is what puts you in a position to get hit by this next one.
Yeah, hold on, Sean. Keep it paused right there. No, go back there. Do you see how far apart your legs are spread? you are
Yeah.
not in a position to maneuver at all. At this point, the best that you can block with is the axe itself. And
Yeah.
with Sven changing up his speed, which Sven does, that puts you in a very precarious spot. And it started with when you went for that leg shot. If you notice your gait in, you come in at a fairly aggressive step, which is okay, but you spread yourself out so bad that at that point you are limiting what you can react to and how you can react. And that's part of the reason why Sven just like and then just dumps it over.
Thorfinn?
Yeah. So if you look, your left leg is pinned to the ground, right? By the way, it's cocked like that. So you were stuck going only that way. You would have to reshoot off that side, right? You can't rotate around because you're nailed to the ground. And so if you would have stepped around the shield towards his sword side with that leg blow, you probably would have cleared his shield, and you wouldn't have been stuck in that position where you're basically having to go backwards, and then he nails you on the way back there.
Yeah, we had a question in the comments from Calbart, actually, who is fighting a similar system in Meridia's. He asks, how effective is the axe blade on that Dane axe, and how do you keep from punching with it? Or is that
actually ask if it was allowed? Do they allow you to attack with the axe blade?
Yeah, so I have to be 6 inches from the bottom of the axe blade in my kingdom. So that's why my hand sits so far down on the staff. I will say I normally attack with the top spike on that as it's kind of like a hook that I throw, or a straight jab with it. The axe blade itself, I have found I have to almost pin it to the back of my thigh and leverage it over to get anybody to take it, unless I'm just smashing them in the face with it.
Do you use like a little tiny shield? Is that what it is? Like a little bit of extra space that you're blocking with?
Yeah, definitely. It does help a lot. And sometimes I will, especially if somebody gets real thrust happy, I'll turn that just flat over in front of my chin. So
okay.
All right,
just checking in. I'm just trying to figure out, what the deal is. Got it.
All right, so we're gonna move on here just a little bit to show the shot you actually got hit with, which so you throw that wrap, ends up flat. And here's okay, this thing we were talking about before with evading forward. This is what he's doing. That's the thing we were talking with Logan, that you need to be like, this is one of the things that happens when you're passing through, when something is coming in at you and you're evading forward into it. As he takes this step in, it brings the shield into play, and it accounts for that shot where it is deflected that off to the side there. And he's put himself in a position to have access to targets.
Yeah.
If he'd just run away from this, then you get 2 or 3 shots off on him. But now, as we mentioned, he's got you planted and he's stepping in. He's pursuing the fight.
See, you had to step off of that right foot. You notice you even did it in the fight right there, because there's no way you could have moved your left foot. So he knows where you're going. Right there it comes up. That's the only step you can take right there.
And as you come off to your left, he's throwing offside head, which is one of the primary shots for a left-handed fighter.
Yep, bread and butter.
You had put your axe, I think, too far over. Maybe you were expecting a flat snap to come in. You put that axe too far over, and he ends up hitting that offside. That just hit you right in the face. Is that right?
Yeah.
That shot, then a leg wrap, is like the 2 shots that every lefty has to throw.
Yep.
And that's like how they pay their rent, man. Those 2 blows right there. So if you knowing that, the snap is gonna be actually really hard for them to throw on you.
Yeah. I mean, in a fight of 2 lefty fighters, the winner is usually the one that can throw a flat snap.
Right.
Because they're not like lefty on lefty. They're I mean, it's just comedy. Just comedy gold, right? Lefty on lefty action.
As no one knows how to lead in the dance, right? It's like 2 girls dancing together, in a formal dance. Who's leading in this thing?
So to counter that, when I was doing that, that step that I should have taken, it should have been more to his sword side.
Probably more to your sword side. Yeah.
That's what I mean. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Stepping out the right. But part of it is, you got this block on this first one. and then you're squatting right down. I mean, you were like totally planted into this to be able to get to that.
You
Which
couldn't have gone there.
Sean,
Yeah.
take it back a couple stands to where he blocked that shot, please.
okay, comes in right
So,
here, block it with the X.
There, stopped it there. Okay, at that point, what is exposed on Sven?
Obviously offside head.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, how tall Sven?
6'4".
Yeah.
6'4". He's giving you his arm. Look at his feet.
Yeah.
His feet are totally right next to it, close together.
It's close together. Okay, you now have a block. You not just any block, but you have what I would consider a really gold block. Because at that particular point, he's fully exposed. His feet are together. He's thrown that shot. Now I can't say he's fully exposed because it sounds horrible, but the way that he is, his arm is now open to that shot, that wrap shot right there. And it isn't you're wrapping to just bang 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 like most people do against lefties. No, he's thrown that shot to, and you've got it. You've got this beautiful block right there, just bang. And if you were just to step in like everyone, Sean and Thorfinn were saying, step into your left just a little bit, doing the sticky hands thing, manipulating his sword out of your way, and then throwing a wrap to it.
Yes,
That makes sense.
his whole left side's open at that point. You
Yeah.
can go anywhere you want.
And it's also a safer lane to throw into. If I'm thrown into the sword hand, it's normally a safer throw.
Yeah. Now, go ahead, Sean. You were about to say something.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Now, couple questions. Are we gonna watch it again? We're good to go.
Tell you what, let's move on to the next one here. So this is
Another lefty fight.
no, this is the 25% of his fights that were not left-handed fighters.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The one there, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, this is also Thorfinn's Squire brother, Artis.
Right, that's right.
And the 50%
Oh,
of my
nothing like
fights that
family
were
love.
dukes.
Love that guy.
It's good to see him out on the field.
Really, yeah. I love this new kid that he's got going on too, this 1400 thing.
All right, moving right along. We've had enough of salutes and shit.
A lot of love.
Nice. Have a nice day.
I've still got this at quarter speed.
Full disclosure, he sent me this fight, so I've actually seen it a couple times. So did you just react to what little pressure? He put some pressure there, and that's what you reacted to?
I'm kind of a counter puncher, so I try to lure them in so they throw a shot, especially if they're shorter than me. That normally means I have the reach on them. So I'm trying to bait him to throw a shot to open something. And he's just recently got my number. So the last practice, he figured me out. So
they do that.
Yeah, they do. That shot was so close.
Hang on. Go back to that. Nope, not that one. That one. It's kind of hard to tell what happened in the end here because it kind of went off.
Yeah, I think it ended up being a flat snap that he managed to. I think I was in recovery with my axe after trying to throw that top spike in, and it.
Oh, it almost looks like it's a thrust, though.
No, I'm pretty sure that one was a flat snap.
Okay.
Yeah, because see, that was me trying to throw that there, and then he double taps me right about there when I'm trying to bail out of that shot.
So let's watch. Okay, yeah. go forward from here. I think he's got your sword pinned.
Okay, so right there, you try to throw that top spike.
Yeah, I hit him in the side of the head with it, and I just didn't have enough purchase. I was bailing out of it, so
Yeah,
it was,
yeah, you're falling back at this point. Sorry, I'm
yeah.
back to that. Yeah, you're definitely falling back. And again, evading forward, right, is an option here.
Yeah.
Because let's
Yeah,
take
right
a
there,
look
you
at
can
this.
step around him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with this here from where you are right here. So now you're throwing off your back foot. And you're going back. So 1 step back. 2 steps back. 3 steps back. And it looks like that's where that got in there.
I think it's the next one after that.
Yeah, he doubles to the same area.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a flat.
Yeah.
The way the arm is.
Yeah, you took 4 or 5 steps back. All right. Do we want to watch? You got one more. Do you want to watch the last one here?
This is the Sir John fight or Duke John.
Yeah, Duke John. Yeah.
Yeah, salute.
So much looting, yeah.
So much looting. There you go. It's full speed right now. You know, it's a little
Okay.
choppy.
Yeah, immediately takes my arm.
Wow.
I just think we happen to throw at the exact same time on that.
I'm gonna back that up. I'm gonna slow that down.
Okay, Google, time remaining. You've got 2 minutes and 46 seconds remaining.
Oh, hey, not sure what's going on there.
Oh, lots of love apparently.
Apparently, lots of love.
Meaning love, right?
Yeah, that's just textbook. Yeah,
Does he
Yep,
get you on the inside of your arm?
yeah. You were throwing up. You can see where his your bottom spike is right there, right above his head, and he's coming right in flat snap. That's going to hit right in your forearm.
Yep.
Maybe even your bicep.
Yeah, ended up bicep shoulder.
Oh, that's lots of fun.
Yeah, that was just textbook flat snap. That's yep. You're right. That's
And-
just bad. That's just bad timing.
Yep.
Andy gets
Probing
the
shot.
small little shuffle to his sword side, just to touch, or the Madu side.
Yeah. Yeah, you can watch his foot leave the ground here. He's pivoting towards that side.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, this is important. So you've got his right foot right here.
Yep.
You're gonna see as he takes this shot in here, because right now you guys aren't really at a range where you're engaged. But man, just that half step forward that he takes right there, that gives him all the range that he needs to be able to get in there. Just that little shuffle right there.
Yep.
Okay, Google, cancel
And it's
timer.
a pretty deceptive move, really. At full
Oh, yeah.
speed, it's really hard to tell that a person only moved. But this is a lot of times the outcome of a fight is determined by just mere inches like that. You watch
Yep.
two fighters fight by footwork over an inch or two, and everyone's like, well, there's nothing happening, right? But in reality, it's a very intense fight to that 2 inch of ground. Because whoever has that has the advantage, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He's kind enough to sacrifice his earned advantage.
He is truly lawful good.
He really is. Oh.
That was like a perfect shielding by the marshal. Did you see
It
that?
was.
Yeah.
The entire blow happened with nothing but the marshal in the middle.
Every
And then
time.
fading out. Like, God damn.
Yeah.
Nice shot. So yeah, you did like a repost off of his shot, right?
Ooh.
Is it?
I don't think that was the one that actually hit there.
No, that one just glanced.
Yeah.
Plans. There's been a couple.
Yeah, we fouled up each other's shots a lot in that fight. It was beautiful. And I got him just reaching on that one.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and the reload right there. Bang.
Yeah, he was doing some.
But you also did that while you were falling away too.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can see where this hits at the very tip of your stick.
Top 2 inches.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's
if it wasn't
because
hit the face, it wouldn't have been any good.
yep, exactly. Because you were falling away when you hit this for sure. So that that right there is classic case of let's be careful how we say well, it worked, didn't it?
Right.
Right, like
Yeah,
one of the questions I'm always asking is, did you win that fight or did your opponent lose?
That's exactly it.
And this is kind of right on the bleeding edge of that, because
John's out of position here with his, like, he's way forward.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's kind of nailed right there. And
yeah, he's reaching. You just hit him with the last 2 inches. Yeah.
Yeah, on all the previous shots, he was getting the little head movements to create glancing surfaces, and that one he was just straight coming forward. He didn't get any of the head bobs, so it just gave you a clean surface on to land on.
Right on. All right. We'll go ahead and stop share there. So, all right, Helgi, you want to take a shot?
So the big things that I was noticing was, in addition to you moving backwards, you're doing some decent things as far as trying to create lateral space or lateral movement. In the first fight, you let your feet come parallel or come almost square, which will allow you to move side to side better. You use it to take a step off to his shield side and then move back. Instead of if that was coming forward. But when you're in that guard, he throws that first snap, and your first motion is to drop into the square stance and then throw the leg wrap. Whereas if you were trying to get the timing on it, right, it would have been, as soon as he starts throwing, either you're taking a shuffle while throwing the shot or something like that. There's a longer beat there than what I would expect from you normally. I think that basically it comes down to you don't look comfortable inside unless somebody is charging you, and then you get your axe head to turn into the head, right? You need to figure out how to be comfortable, and possibly even aggressing. I'm not saying that that's going to be the end all be all of your style, but I think that you need that tool in your rep, and you have to be confident with that tool, right? So that on the occasions when you need to step forward, you can do it with precision, accuracy, and confidence. So
All right. Thorfinn?
Yeah, so I got a question for you first. This the way you defend with your axe, are you using it more like a zone style defense where you're just blocking an area, or are you blocking the attack?
I guess it kind of depends, especially with who I'm fighting, but it's supposed to be more of a zone.
Right.
So, left side, right side on that. But I do have to drop the tips back depending on wraps and whatnot. So
Sure, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so with the zone style defense, you have to be fundamentally secure in your belief that you've got the zone covered. So with the thing that you did with that fight where you do a really heavy block with both weapons over here, and then what happens is Sven just changes directions on you, right? So a person can throw like a hesitation fake on you, which then if you're out of zone, right, it's gonna be much harder for you to get back to cover your area. So what I would say is, and this is like, I mean, of course, there you can have a hybrid style. There's a lot of things, but you have to have a fundamental belief that you've got your ass covered, right? And if you're doing a 2-weapon style, oftentimes they're blocking each side, right? So you have to trust that you've got that covered. Otherwise, he can do those hesitation fakes. And if he does, if you've got it covered, right, no big deal. Screw him. They let him throw the hesitation fake. But what's going to happen is they'll freeze you. And if you're out of position, it's going to be really hard for you. Remember I talked about that muscle freezing thing? Your muscle has to refire. Getting back to that after you've been out of position is going to be really a bitch. And so I would say, like, really focus on trusting each weapon to do its thing. Okay. And that's my first thing. And that part of that is facing your opponent properly. Right. We talked, I honestly, the same thing with that Logan was going with is that you can use your opponent to defend yourself as well. So learning to stay on the balls of your feet so you can transition through their attack to another direction. Okay, so it doesn't have to always be back. It can be forward and out pivot. Okay, so those are little things right now I'm seeing. I'll think of my final 3.
And Timmer, this is why we hired you.
All right, so cool. All right, a couple things. First, let's talk about dressing the lefty. And this is something that ironically, very recently, like literally last Estrella, after an incredibly great fight, Sean's like, hey, you know what you should do next time you fight a lefty is try this. And I'm like, okay, let's put my sword in my left hand and my spear in my right hand. And I started doing pel work with it. I started training so I didn't want to blow out my elbow. And so now I am now addressing the opponent on the same footing. And the reason why I was chuckling when I saw you fight Sigvalder, and for me, I should have chuckled with Sven as well, because for me, both those are known people. I know how they fight. I'm friends with them. I've seen them fight. Sigvalder, I love to death. And yeah, if it's once again, you don't have to. You absolutely don't have to. But you have the ability to. It's just literally swapping the weapons, and there you go. Now, when I'm beforehand, before I was fighting left, you got to stand up a little bit. Most, like I was watching you, like he was mentioning that Thorfinn was mentioning, you're kind of tucked in here with the axe, right? Food for thought. Push it out.
Yeah. It's cut now. It's a
at
cone,
this
right?
point, now it's a cone. Now people are like, oh, your arm's going to be open. You're right. Your arm is open. There's the block. Oh, they're going to wrap again. There's the block. They're going to wrap again. There's the block. Guess what just got opened up on them? Their arm. And I'm chambered. So that's one way of thinking out with that axe, because you're going to be, instead of here, because at this point, this is your block, correct?
Yeah.
And go ahead, Thorfinn. I think you're going to say exactly what I'm going to say.
You have very little room for mistake if the weapon's that close to your body.
Yes.
Okay? So as it comes away from your body, it allows to have like a cone style defense. Imagine a hockey goalie coming outside the net to defend. You think, wow, that's not going to work. He's skating away from the thing. He's presenting less target, believe it or not. And that's so. Yeah.
Now, I'll give you a little bit more of a background. Besides being a knight, I'm also a master of defense. So when I'm fighting in my rapier field, I'm fighting out here with my dagger. This comes straight from there because once again, I'm pushing it out here. Now, you can't really see it with the lower leg, but it really would work with the axe. If someone goes for the leg, the left leg league is already covered. If someone goes for the right, all I have to do is swap it out here and just let it swing.
Yeah.
And as soon as they make contact, I realize they've now exposed this quadrant, this particular quadrant, their head, their shoulder, their arm, everything's there because they're going for that offside. Now fighting lefties, I need to create space. All right, fighting lefties, before I started doing the switch, which I have to say was a eating crow when it came down to humility, but it's been really effective and I had a lot of fun. But beforehand, when I fight with a lefty, once, give you a background, my last sword and shield that I fought regularly was a center held oval. So when I fight with a lefty, instead of fighting in quasi square, I kick my left over here, and now I'm there at this particular point because I'm using their shield and they have to come over to hit. My spear is going to be here. In this case, it's going to be your axe. You can see it coming. You've now cut the lower quadrants off. You're using their shield to cover your body. You're creating space because instead of holding close, you're pushing out. And now you're chambered and ready for the fight. You're ready for the dance. Now, with what Helga had mentioned about the A game, that's where I love to live, with the short spear and the sword. I love when my opponents come to me. If they come to me, great. At that particular point, my bottom spike is gone. I'm okay with that because now they've also came in so close, they've usually cut off most of those lower shots anyway. So now all I have to worry about is them attacking my upper body. Now, if they're coming in with any kind of sword shot, I can block with any particular weapon style. So if they're coming with the offside head, block here, quick jab. Now, when I make a jab, courtesy stab to the armpit or the neck. If they don't take it, I'm gonna crank it up a little bit more. But it doesn't take much for a good opponent to realize, oh, he could have ripped my armpit off or he could have ripped my neck off. And I go for this particular triangles in those areas because it's harder for someone to shrug off. Aside of the head, you're gonna be able to get those glances off. Side of the throat, not so much if it's coming in an uppercut angle. And when I do my pel work, it's all uppercuts too. So once again, just something to think about.
So
Wow,
can I ask you a question about that?
Fire away. No
Okay,
problem.
so normally especially with the righties, like that shot is very open for me to come right up inside of the chin area and armpit as well. I used to try to get it down to the ribs, but it can be hit or miss about whether or not they feel it. So definitely that armpit and chin, and sometimes the face as well. But with the lefties, I normally have to do like a wide hook to get around their shield. So I'm not sure where I've come some where I've been able to kind of come, I guess, like an offside thrust with it if I can get inside their shield. But that's about the only time I can get that straight shot with the lefties, at least.
With the lefties, it's almost a non-shot because their shield is covering it.
Yeah,
now,
right.
At that particular point, they're coming in straight at you. If you angle this way, at that particular point, you are now cutting off everything in this area, everything that's on this zone. So once again, because any kind of manipulation is going to expose you a little bit more. It's going to put you out of position. You are fighting a little bit more at that speed, which is part of the reason why when it came down to fighting lefties, once again, thanks Sean, still training me after 25 years. I ended up switching to here because now at this particular point, I am comfortable. I am now ready for my opponent on a level that I'm playing. My opponent, most of the time, is not. Even if they're a good fighter, and most of them, and I've had an opportunity to fight some great lefties, but at this particular point, you're fighting your strength against, and you're giving them an unknown. They are no longer prepared for a fight. They were ready for an axe and spear guy. They were not ready for a mutual left-handed axe and spear guy. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. I've thought about doing that and I've kind of shied away from it, but I can definitely see the benefits because I know the benefits I have on a right-handed opponent.
Yeah. Now, granted, it sucks. It sucks at first. Two of my squires I work with are both lefties, and yeah, it sucks. Actually, it's not true. One squire and one other student. I can't say squire by any stretch, and they go Helga. But yeah, Helga. But yeah, they're both lefties, so it gives me an opportunity to actually work on that. And so yeah, it's been they enjoyed it for the first little while because they're like, it's breakfast and Timmer is in. Ah! But after a while, it's like, okay, fine. I've gotten used to it, I've gotten adapted to it, and it's a different way to change the fight once again, because when it comes down to it, the whole thing with our fighting is to make it your fight. not
Yep.
give your opponent an opportunity, not allow them to have, oh my God, where did I hear this, Sean? But actually give them, make it your fight. You're taking control of it, whether that's range, manipulation, weapons positioning, everything else like that. Going back to the regular shield side right-handed fighters, just try pushing it out there. Remember, it's going to expose your arm, it's going to expose your forearm. People will try to wrap that. And all it takes is this, just to turn it out and block it out of the way. So there's food for thought.
So with that, I echo some of obviously a lot of what Tim had to say. The other thing that I was seeing in what you're doing is this is the case with any like two single-handed weapons. You are sacrificing defense in favor of more offense. So you need to be using the two offensive tools that you have brought to the fight. You need to be threatening with both of those offensive tools, particularly the one that gives you the range advantage. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to be like striking all the time, but there are things that you can do with that long weapon to just present threat. And right now, I think Thorfinn had kind of mentioned, that especially that cone of defense, right? As the weapon gets further away from your body, it provides more coverage because you can intercept blows as they come in before they can get started. But if you're using that bottom point or even the top point, if you're threatening with that at range, it's going to provide you a certain amount of defense, but more importantly, it's going to give your opponent something that they need to be concerned about.
Right.
Does it make sense?
Oh,
right now, it looks like you're kind of using it as a skinny shield that you can kind of poke with. And I think you can kind of get that axe out there a little bit more, be more proactive with it, and just like use it more of a threat instead of just that block with an opportunity. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I definitely try to focus, and unfortunately you don't see it in a lot of these, and most of these guys have been fighting me now that they're so used to me threatening with that bottom point, and you can see Duke John immediately triggering off of me throwing that bottom tip, and because they've had to adapt to my style with that. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing with that is, like I said, it's not so much you throwing with it, it's you threatening with it. It's using it to threaten lanes or to shut down a lane, especially with right-handed fighters. You can put that out there. A lot of right-handed fighters are going to they're going to put I'll put my sword out in front as well to kind of shut down that lane, especially that bottom spike. So you're not going to just be able to pop me in the thigh with that. So I'll put my sword in a lane to be able to shut that down. But you can do the same thing. You can threaten with that bottom point to just, like I said, you can threaten with it without necessarily throwing with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just with positioning. And also you can, if you put that bottom spike out there, you use the range advantage you have with that bottom spike, right? You can put it out there in a way that like shuts down their offensive lines, especially with right-handed fighters. And then you can pivot around the axe to get yourself better access to targets, right? I refer to this as body blocking, right? Where I can put this here, and this is the same thing with any center grip shield, right? Mm-hmm. One of the advantages of center grip shield is I can put my shield out there and I don't have to move the shield around to be able to catch all these blocks. I can put my shield in one place and I can move my body behind the shield, keeping the shield where it is to be able to account for the lines of attack that you have and to present myself opportunities as well, right? So you can put your axe in one place and just keep that point on there. You can pivot around your axe to be able to get to stuff. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Just something you can play with, right?
No, it's interesting.
Alrighty, we're coming up on a short here on time, so we're gonna have to move through the final three for you pretty quick. Thorfinn, you want to go?
I would say one of the things that you should try and work on is at practice doing single sword practice, right? Taking time to train both hands. So that way, when you encounter this next time with, let's say John had hit your sword hand, right? Would have you kept your axe, or would you wanted to switch to sword?
Actually, honestly, I like fighting with the axe. I end up doing a lot of that.
You would have just been okay, that's fine. But either way, I think practicing single sword is very important for everyone to learn. I mean, you can, as soon as, if you go into a situation where you practiced it and the other guy just thinks, oh, every time at practice, I'll just say you win the fight, you're going to have the edge on them. You're going to have the advantage because you trained that particular style, and take advantage of that. The other thing I would say is that the thing with the fakes have to feel real, right? There has to be an authentic threat. So like when you talked about the guys at practice getting used to you having that thing out there, that's because John doesn't feel the threat anymore. He knows what you're doing with it, right? You have to have an authentic attack with that. Otherwise, you're just poking around, right? And they can tell, and they're going to take advantage of that. So, and I mean this for every fighter out there in the world, fakes need to be authentic. And that's why they're fakes, because then the person has to treat them authentically. Otherwise, they're going to be like, they won't even get off guard, right? They're like, okay, I know what he's doing. That's not even an attack. So take that to heart, all fighters. Fakes, make your fakes real. And oftentimes, stick that real thrust so that way they believe they have to fucking deal with it. So that next tournament, they're going to be like, God damn it, that thrust is real. Then you have the world of fakes, right?
Yeah.
So, hey, thanks for coming on, and I really appreciate you putting yourself out there. Look forward to fighting you.
Helgi?
So we talked about getting comfortable inside. We talked about so I think that is one of the key points, is that you need to have you need to feel confident when somebody can enforce the range they want to fight at rather than the range you want to fight at. Part of that is going to be using your opponent's shield as part of your defense, which is something I think Timur was talking about with it. The other things that you were of other types of threat that you can generate at range is are some of those strikes don't actually have to be shots that would land against your target, right? Shield manipulation with the bottom of it is really, really frustrating. Center punch has a ton of center grip shields have a ton of weaknesses as far as the pivots go. Side mounts have fewer, but they are still there, right? And you need to learn what those pivot points and weak points are for each different shield style. I think that's pretty much it.
Timur?
All right, three things. Fighting with against right-handed opponents. Just try it. And by try, I'm not talking one fighter practice and call it done. Give yourself 3 months. Give yourself at least. Right there, Sean. Right there. Right there.
Hey man, I'm just watching your work, brother. You're not wrong.
No, where do I get it from? Anyway, so at least give yourself 3 months of just trying it out there, throwing it out there, and once again, your arm's going to be exposed, so be prepared to just be able to push that out. Second, against lefty fighters, being able to try it. Just absolutely just throw yourself in, realize you're going to suck, and it's okay to suck. That's how we get better. We don't get better when we just like blow it away. You know what? Third, honestly, everything that Thorfinn said, both him and Helgi, were spot on. I'm really a big proponent of range manipulation. I love it. I am not a big fighter. I'm definitely not a fast fighter. But what I do is try to manipulate range a lot. And being able to close in the A range, being able to fire off at the C range and even the B range is something that you want to work at. So all those. One little bonus, when doing your Pell work, something else, if you have a dartboard, when you're doing the bottom spike, it's like you're throwing darts. So if you have a dartboard, besides your Pell work, hang out, have a couple of beers, throw darts, both hands. If you do it with your right hand, make sure that there's something against the wall because you will miss a lot. Or left hand, I should say. All right, that's it. Oh, also, if you want any other tips and stuff, feel free to get a hold of me.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
goes
Thank
for
you.
all of us, guys. We are,
Yeah.
shoot us a message. We're here. So.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So yeah, we're gonna wrap up here. Like to thank both of you guys for coming on, Logan and Valentine. Really appreciate you being willing to have us pick things apart. Hopefully, we've given you some path forward, some things that you can work on when you get home. Again, hopefully, this is applicable to other fighters out there who may be, seeing some of the stuff you're doing and being able to pick up on that as well. So coming up this Friday on the Coach's Corner, we have an episode on the mind in the fight. This is going to be a really good one. Viscountess Bess had, badgered us about some questions about like, how do you do this? How do you see these things? And so she's going to be leading this episode. She's been really great in the Coaches Lounge for like bringing us questions that we don't think about a lot of times. So this is going to be kind of a discussion on like the conscious fight versus the unconscious fight, and how much we drive the fight, and how much we let the fight happen, and all of the coaches that we have here on the Coaches Corner, we all do that a little bit differently. And so, man, it's going to be a really, really great discussion. So that's usual time Friday night. So tune in for that. Thorfinn, you got any other final thoughts there?
Yeah, I think we're gonna be trying to do a live from Great Western War show too.
Yeah.
Which is gonna be one of our first like live question and answer with an actual event audience. And so tune in. It'll probably just be hilarious anyway.
Yeah.
but since it's a broad topic, it's gonna be kind of hit us with all your questions. So is that what we're doing?
We did that the practice up at Rifkin's house,
That's right.
and worked out great. And so we got to work on some logistics and some timing to make sure that we're not trampling over other things that are happening on the event. But that's the plan. So if you're going to Great Western War, come on by, and we'll try to announce when and where that's going to happen, so everybody can drop by and get to meet some of the coaches that we have and just sit around. I mean, that the whole fireside chat that this thing was based on in the first place. So Helgi, Timmer, I would like to thank you guys for filling in and helping out. Really appreciate your perspective on this as well.
Really great info, guys. Really great info. That was really cool.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, love to have you guys back. So all right, everybody else, have a good night. And we'll see you on Friday for another episode of the Coach's Corner. Appreciate it.